Hey, Sarah, I've been wanting to ask you something. How did you become so fluent in English? I remember when we first met, you were struggling with basic conversations, and now you can talk about almost anything.
Aw, thank you for noticing, Michael. It's been quite a journey, honestly. It took me about 2 years of consistent effort to get to where I am now, but I'm still learning every single day. There's always something new to discover about English.
2 years? That seems like a long time. I was hoping I could become fluent much faster than that.
I understand that feeling completely. Many people think they can become fluent in a few months, but the reality is different. However, the good news is that you don't need to wait 2 years to have meaningful conversations. You can start communicating after just a few months of dedicated practice.
That's encouraging. So, what should I do first? Where do I even start?
Great question. The first thing you need to understand is that there are different aspects of learning English: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Many people focus only on one or two, but to truly improve, you need to develop all four skills together.
So, I need to practice all of them equally?
Well, not necessarily equally, but you do need to practice all of them. Here's what I did. I started with listening because I found it the most challenging. I watched movies, but not in the way most people do.
What do you mean? How is there a wrong way to watch movies?
Good question. Most people watch movies with subtitles in their native language, which means they're not really listening to English, they're reading. So I changed my approach. At first, I watched movies with English subtitles so I could connect the words I heard with the written words I saw on the screen.
That makes sense. Did you understand everything?
Absolutely not. At first, I understood maybe 30–40% of what I heard, but I didn't let that discourage me. I watched the same movie multiple times. The first time, I just tried to enjoy the story and get the general idea. The second time, I focused on specific phrases. By the third time, I had learned quite a bit.
You watched the same movie 3 times? That sounds boring.
It was actually fun. I chose movies I genuinely liked, so watching them again wasn't a chore. And each time, I learned something new. Plus, I realized that watching a movie 3 times improved my listening skills much more than watching 3 different movies once.
Oh, I see your point. What happened after you watched the movies?
Then I started removing the subtitles. This was scary at first, but it forced my brain to work harder and actually listen. I watched movies without subtitles for about 2 months before I could understand most of what was happening. Now I can watch English shows and movies almost without any difficulty.
That's impressive progress. But movies are entertainment. How did you practice with other types of English?
Great question. Entertainment is just one part. I also started listening to English podcasts and audiobooks. I would listen during my commute to work, while exercising, or even while doing household chores. This gave me exposure to English for several hours every day.
Several hours? That's a lot.
It might seem like a lot, but remember, it's not active listening the entire time. Sometimes I'm half listening while doing other things, but the important thing is that my brain was constantly exposed to English sounds, patterns, and vocabulary. This passive listening helped me understand native speakers better over time.
What kind of podcasts did you listen to?
I started with podcasts specifically designed for English learners because they speak slower and use simpler vocabulary. Podcasts like Learn English with SWAT English Learning and The English We Speak were very helpful. But after about 6 months, I started listening to regular podcasts about topics I was interested in: news, travel, cooking, business, even though they were harder to understand.
Why did you make them harder if you were already struggling?
Because I realized that if I only listened to easy content, I would plateau at that level. To improve further, I needed to challenge myself with content that was slightly above my current level. It's called the zone of proximal development. You learn best when the material is challenging, but still somewhat understandable.
That makes sense. So, listening is one part. What about speaking?
Speaking was actually the scariest part for me at first. I knew that listening and reading were important, but I was terrified of actually speaking to people. What if I made mistakes? What if they didn't understand me?
I have the exact same fear. How did you overcome it?
I realized that I was going to make mistakes no matter what. Everyone makes mistakes, even native English speakers. So I decided to accept that mistakes are a normal part of learning. Once I accepted that, it became less scary.
Okay, but how did you actually start speaking?
I started small. At first, I practiced speaking alone, literally talking to myself. I would repeat sentences from movies or books. I recorded myself speaking and listened to the recordings to hear my own mistakes. This is important, Michael, because hearing your own mistakes is how you learn to correct them.
That sounds awkward, but I understand why it would help.
Yes, it was awkward at first, but then I joined an online conversation group. There are several platforms where you can practice English with other learners or native speakers. I was nervous during my first conversation, but the people were very patient and encouraging.
What do you do in these conversation groups?
We just talk about topics like hobbies, travel, family, or current events. A native speaker usually guides the conversation and corrects our mistakes gently. The important thing is that you're actually using English to communicate, not just studying it from a textbook.
How often do you attend these sessions?
I try to do it at least 3 times a week for about 30 minutes each session. Consistency is much more important than the duration. I learned more from 3 30-minute sessions than I would have from 1 2-hour session because my brain needs time to process what I learned.
That's a good point about consistency. What about grammar? Don't you need to study grammar rules?
Grammar is important, but here's the thing. I didn't spend years studying grammar rules. Instead, I learned grammar through context. When I read or heard sentences, I started noticing patterns. For example, I heard so many sentences like, I have been studying English for 2 years, that I eventually understood the present perfect tense without explicitly studying it.
So you learned grammar naturally by exposure.
Exactly. However, I did study some basic grammar at the beginning because I needed to understand the fundamental structure of the language, but I only studied the most essential topics: verb tenses, subject-verb agreement, sentence structure. I didn't dive into complex grammar topics until much later.
What about vocabulary? How did you learn so many words?
Vocabulary is something I work on every single day. I use a vocabulary learning app where I learn 10 to 15 new words daily. But here's my secret. I don't just memorize the words. I create sentences using them, and I try to use them in my conversations.
Does it work?
It works much better than just memorizing words. When you use a word in a real conversation, your brain remembers it much longer. If you just study a list of words, you'll probably forget 80% of them within a week. But if you use a word in context, you might remember it forever.
That's a huge difference. How many new words do you learn this way?
With consistent practice, I can learn about 300 to 400 new words per year. That might not sound like a lot, but when you add it up over several years, it becomes significant. Plus, many words are similar across languages, so you can recognize them even if you haven't officially studied them.
Okay, so listening, speaking, vocabulary, and some basic grammar. What about reading and writing?
Reading is wonderful for learning English because it exposes you to correct grammar and new vocabulary. I started by reading children's books and simplified news articles. Now I read novels, blogs, and newspapers written for native English speakers.
Don't those seem too difficult?
They do at first, but here's my approach. I don't try to understand every single word. I read for the main ideas. When I encounter a word I don't know, I first try to guess the meaning from context. If I still can't figure it out, I look it up. This way, I'm actively learning while also making reading enjoyable.
And writing. How do you practice that?
I write in my journal every day. I write about my day, my thoughts, my feelings, whatever comes to mind. I write freely without worrying too much about grammar at first. Then, after a few days, I go back and correct my mistakes. This teaches me to recognize my own errors.
Do you share your writing with anyone?
Sometimes. There are online communities where you can post your writing and native speakers or advanced learners will correct it. This is incredibly valuable because you get real feedback from real people. I discovered many of my recurring mistakes this way.
That sounds really helpful. Let me ask you something. Did you ever feel discouraged during your learning journey?
Oh, absolutely. There were many times when I felt like I wasn't making progress. I would study for weeks and feel like I wasn't learning anything new. These periods were really frustrating.
How did you push through those periods?
I reminded myself of how far I had come. When I started, I couldn't understand even simple English sentences. Now, I can watch movies, read books, and have conversations. The progress was slow, but it was definitely there. I also set specific, measurable goals.
What kind of goals?
I set short-term goals like understand 80% of a movie without subtitles or have a 10-minute conversation with a native speaker. I also set long-term goals like read an English novel or write a short story in English. When I achieved these goals, it motivated me to continue learning.
That's smart. What would you say are the most important factors in learning English?
If I had to list them, I would say consistency, exposure, practice, patience, and a genuine desire to learn. You need to practice regularly, not just once in a while. You need to expose yourself to different types of English. Movies, podcasts, books, conversations. You need to practice all 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing.
And patience.
Yes, patience is crucial. Language learning is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Some days you'll feel like you're not progressing, but if you keep going, you'll eventually reach your goals. And the desire to learn is important because that's what keeps you going when it gets difficult.
This is really helpful, Sarah. I feel much more confident about starting my English learning journey now. Do you have any final advice?
Yes, don't compare yourself to others. You might see someone who learned English faster than you, but everyone's journey is different. Your progress might be slow at first, but that's okay. Celebrate small victories. When you understand a sentence without subtitles, celebrate. When you have a short conversation, celebrate.
I like that approach. What about resources? Are there any specific resources you recommend?
There are so many good resources available now. For listening, I recommend Netflix with English subtitles, YouTube channels for English learners, and podcasts. For speaking, I recommend Tandem, Conversation Exchange, or local conversation groups. For reading, start with simplified readers and gradually move to real books.
What about writing and grammar?
For writing, you can use HelloTalk or a personal journal. For grammar, I recommend using a grammar app like Grammarly while you write, which will help you learn naturally. You can also read grammar blogs or watch grammar videos when you encounter something confusing.
This is so comprehensive. I really appreciate you sharing all this with me.
You're very welcome. I love talking about English learning because it's such a rewarding journey. And remember, the fact that you're interested in learning and asking questions shows that you already have the desire to improve. That's the most important ingredient.
I'm really excited to start now. I think I'll begin with watching movies and listening to podcasts, and then I'll join a conversation group.
That's That's a perfect plan. Start with what feels comfortable, then gradually push yourself to try new things. And please, don't hesitate to ask for help or advice. I'm always happy to support you in your English learning journey.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Your advice has been invaluable. I'll keep you updated on my progress.
I can't wait to hear how it goes. Remember, consistency is key. Even just 30 minutes of practice every day will make a huge difference over time. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too. I never thought learning a language could be this systematic and achievable. Thank you again, Sarah.
You're welcome. Just remember, everyone starts somewhere. Even native English speakers are still learning new words and expressions. The fact that you're willing to put in the effort makes all the difference. Good luck, Michael.
Thanks, Sarah. This conversation has really changed my perspective on learning English. I'm going to start today.
That's the spirit. Have fun with it, and I'll see you soon. Let's grab coffee again next week, and you can tell me about your progress.
Absolutely. I'll have lots to report, I'm sure. Thanks again, Sarah.